The last two videos that I've posted on my YouTube channel have been the best primary and also special weapons in the game to be using right now inside of Destiny 2, taking into the Edge of Fate DLC. So obviously the final video of this mini-series is the top heavy weapons in Destiny 2 right now that you should have, be grinding for, that you can use right now, and also take into the Edge of Fate DLC. All of these weapons on this list right now are extremely useful and definitely the meta guns to be using. These weapons aren't going anywhere come Edge of Fate. They will still be very useful and you will get a very decent amount of use out of them. So without further ado, let's get straight into this list. And in here, in at number 1, arguably the best heavy weapon in the game right now, by a long shot, we have the Heathen Vengeance. Now this rocket launcher comes from the Vault of Glass raid, and it is the most power-crept rocket launcher in the game. It just blows every other rocket launcher out of the park. It is by far the best rocket launcher, and you should definitely be farming this from the Vault of Glass raid, and get this one crafted into the God Roll. Now the God Roll being Envious Arsenal and Bait and Switch, with the origin trait Time Lost Magazine. Obviously we all know about these two perks. They are extremely useful, especially on a rocket launcher, but what makes this gun so good is the origin trait. Whenever you use your super, it's going to reload and overflow that magazine, so you can pretty much shoot 2 rockets, use your super, shoot another 2 rockets. It's just completely broken. It is extremely useful. By far the best rocket launcher. Everyone should have this heading into the Edge of Fate. Moving on here into weapon number 2, we have the Queenbreakers Bow, which obviously is the heavy linear fusion rifle. We've all been using the crap out of this gun this season, mainly because some of the seasonal artifacts are boosting linear fusion rifles. However, we don't know if linear fusion rifles will become the meta very soon, come the Edge of Fate DLC, and the Queenbreakers with the new Catalyst Rewind rounds is definitely by far one of the best linear fusion rifles to be using and also have ready in your arsenal. In terms of long range DPS, linear fusion rifles are a very safe bet to be using here. In burst DPS, you can use something like a rocket launcher, so keeping a Queenbreakers in your inventory with the Catalyst is definitely something you should be doing come the Edge of Fate DLC. Moving on here into the third weapon I've chosen is the VSS Chill Inhibitor. Now this one is extremely useful. I'm hoping everyone watching this video did get the God Roll from Banshee in the tower months and months ago. This one also come with Bait and Switch and Envious Arsenal. It was just a pure freebie from, Banshee from Bungie as a, sorry for bugging the rolls in Destiny 2. And this is just one weapon that you should definitely have ready to pull out. Having a GL with, the God tier damage perks on it is very, very important. There could be a boss, come the Edge of Fate that needs that quick burst damage through a grenade launcher. Grenade launchers could get heavily buffed with some of the new, armor reworks. Who knows? Having a VS Chill Inhibitor with the God Roll is definitely something you should do to have a wide, range of variety of weapons. Moving on here into one weapon that is definitely scaled up there as one of my favorite weapons to be using this season, and that is the Corrective Measure, which also comes from the Vault of Glass raid. Now, previously to this video, I would say my favorite LMG in the game would be the Commemoration. However, the Corrective Measure has slowly taken that king spot. And trust me, this machine gun is definitely one weapon that you want to have in your inventory, ready to go for any encounter in the Edge of Fate. With the God Roll being destabilizing rounds and killing tally, these two perks together are just completely broken. Destabilizing rounds is scaling to be an S tier, one of the best perks in the game. It causes enemies to be volatile, it blows them up, it then gives you volatile rounds. It's just extremely useful to have in any PvE encounter. Pairing this with Killing Tally to give you a flat 30% damage boost after just killing 3 enemies, and then you can continue to keep this 30% damage by, just chain killing enemies. These two perks together is just a massive damage boost. This machine gun is completely busted. Definitely get a Corrective Measure under your belt if you haven't already. Moving on to another weapon here that I've chosen. In the heavy slot, there aren't too many decent weapons to be using outside of the main meta weapons. However, one weapon that I definitely have in my vault ready to go at any means necessary that I have farmed for was the Scintillation. Now this is a strand heavy linear fusion rifle, and LFRs are definitely something that are, a force to be reckoned with in certain scenarios in the game. Now the Scintillation is a very good legendary linear fusion rifle for that option to use when you can't use something like the Queenbreakers Bow because you filled that exotic slot somewhere else. Now the Scintillation God Roll is rewind rounds and bait and switch, making it definitely the best and hard hitting, legendary linear fusion rifle in the game right now. Now this one does come from Strike, so you can farm it out, through Vanguard Ingrams if you want to get the Adept I'm not sure if it's on the GM rotation. I haven't done too many Grandmasters this season, but I do know it comes from strikes, so you can buy that with Vanguard Ingrams, and eventually try and farm the God rollout. Moving on here into another recommendation. This is basically just two, exotic heavy weapons that are definitely a mandatory have for anything in terms of raid racing, contest dungeons, something like the Ultimatum dungeon mode that we're doing right now in the Rite of 9. Whatever it is, these two exotics are definitely two must-haves. The first one is the Grand Overture. Now this exotic is just one of the most broken, heavy exotics in the game. It can do such an enormous amount of damage in a fire team of 3. You load up 20 stacks with your group, you just unload these stacks on a boss, and it's just massive, massive damage. If you've ever got a boss that's time-gated where you need to nuke it down, this is definitely the weapon to be using. Pairing this with something like a Warlock and a Sanguine Alchemy, it's definitely a very solid, total DPS weapon to be using. It does a lot of damage over a long period of time, but it can also do a massive amount of damage in a very quick, short period. And the other exotic to be using is the Tractor Cannon. Now, I know not everyone will be using this, and only one person in your fire team can be using it, but it's definitely something that you should have ready to debuff any boss that you need in any encounter, whether it's just a plain old Nightfall, a GM, a contest dungeon, or a raid, whatever it is. The Tractor Cannon is by far the best debuff tool in the game, and everyone should have it. Moving on to another must-have weapon here in the heavy slot, and that is the Falling Guillotine. Now, there's plenty of reasons why everyone should rock a Falling Guillotine, but the main reason is for the perk Eager Edge. Now, it's the best movement tech, perk in the game. Pull the sword out, it allows you to dash really fast. You can well skate with it, you can hunter skate, you can even bubble skate if you're that good. Having Eager Edge on a sword is just, it makes strikes and mundane activities extremely easy. It makes them, it speeds up the process by, if not double the time, just dashing around. It is very, very important to have one of these in your inventory. If you've got like a jumping puzzle, you can just cheese it with Eager Edge. It is extremely useful and very, very fun to use. Now, the other reason you should be running a Fallen Guillotine is in case you need some sort of sword DPS. The Fallen Guillotine is actually a pretty decent DPS sword to be using for a close range boss fight. We've seen it before and we will definitely see it again. There will definitely be an encounter where sword damage is definitely needed come the Edge of Fate or even the Future of Destiny, and the Fallen Guillotine is a very, very solid choice here. Now, the Fallen Guillotine can roll with some very, very good perks here. In the first column, it can run with Relentless Strikes paired with Bait and Switch. Just two very solid perks here for DPSing bosses. You can also run Frenzy and Surrounded if there's some sort of, boss encounter where you're surrounded, being one of the highest damage buffs in the game, 5% more than Bait and Switch. However, keeping Surrounded up is quite, a challenge, so Bait and Switch is just far easier. So in terms of, having a sword with Eager Edge, and then also having the same sword with some of these DPS perks on it, it is very, very important. But anyway, guys, that will pretty much wrap the list up there. There are 7 must-have great, some of the best heavy weapons in the game right now to be using, farming for, and even taking into the Edge of Fate DLC. Again, thank you guys so much for watching. If you did enjoy this video, feel free to drop a like, subscribe, and comment down below, and let me know what your favorite heavy weapon is at the moment. But again, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Later.